turn on your microphone and all that.
Okay, it's 6:01. We'll call the meeting to order. Tobias, if you would do roll call.
Tarstead. Here. Richardson.
Here.
Fire.
Here.
Osby.
Here.
Okay.
Pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd just like to thank the Lord for getting us out of the flooding, and thank God up around here it was better than most that had it down south of here. And also just like to thank our first responders, keep them safe, our military, our teachers, anybody who's volunteering and helping us out. Thank you. Amen. Need a motion to approve the agenda?
Can the agenda be approved with an amendment to have executive session, or be personnel changes that need to be addressed?
Make a motion to approve the agenda, amended agenda of adding executive session at the end.
Second.
All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
All same sign, motion carried. A motion of the past meeting minutes.
Move to approve.
Second.
All those in favor, aye.
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 Opposed, same sign, motion carried. Financials and claims, we'll start with Tobias and then Jan if she wants to follow up on anything.
Not much. Regular revenue, sales tax has gone up compared to last month. I mean, bills are pretty much the same. You know, we're just, right now, just kind of plugging along. Cash, we opened some more the accounts to deposit, you know, surplus, or revenues that we're collecting for surcharges. Otherwise, I would say it's an uneventful month. Budget is being prepared on the claims. Really no unusual items as well. Nothing where I would say, oh, this is so unusual that merits a lengthy discussion.
Janet, you just want to wait till you get the...
Yeah, I'm actually not going to have much to add to that, so.
Okay. Consent calendar,
Oh, we got to approve.
pardon?
Oh. Did anybody
We
make
need
a
a motion
motion?
on
Yeah, I'll make motion to approve
There,
financials and
motion
claims.
Approve financials. Jana made the motion, or second?
Second.
All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
There's no consent calendar items, so we'll skip that. We do have open comments for anybody not on the agenda that wants to speak about something for up to 3 minutes. So anybody? Brian?
So I guess my main thing I'm being here today is I'd like to talk about why improvements are not being made at the old part of town. I know that we've got a lot of improvements going on around town, and I understand a lot of those different divisions, stuff like that, I'm not complaining about improvements. But Old Town has been forgotten for years. We don't have the proper drainage, we don't have the proper lighting. We're being billed hazard insurance on our houses because of the water pressures. I'm just wondering, when do we get to Old Town? When do we start fixing some of those issues? I've lived here over 55 years, and I've yet to see anything done in Old Town to improve it.
Okay,
I'll take a stab at that.
okay.
I would not disagree with anything you're saying, and I would say for 50 years, there was no plan to do anything. And until I'd say 8 years ago, was the first I'd seen any sort of plan come to this table. And that was the former mayor, right before Butch, Browns, was literally the first mayor, I think in probably 25 years, that put any sort of plan together. But that plan takes several years and several phases. Phase one, based on the recommendations from the engineer, was Palmyra. And your part of town is in a phase, but Palmyra was first. And that's what we were told to start, and that was phase one. New water system, new sewer system, new drainage system, new streets, curb gutter. That's supposed to be phased from that side of town. Every single section of town has a phase. Fast forward to 2020, so that was done in 2019. Fast forward to 2021, we get a large water study done in the city of Crooks. And one of the very things that became apparent was we have a water tower that's not even sufficient for the current size of the town, much less any growth. So I will say that phase two, which should have been another section of town, quickly shifted to, we need another water tower. Because it's a bigger issue that the entire town has enough water supply, because we drained it twice in the last 5 years. And that water tower should have been done 15 years ago. It was at capacity. I think it's got 100,000 gallon capacity. Yeah, and we're currently, if the town needed it, we'd use 150. Like now, without even any growth. So that kind of shifted the priorities. There is still a long-term plan for multiple phases, so the entire town gets exactly what Palmyra got. But you're talking, 5, 6, 7 million with each single phase. That's a lot. And so I'm not saying that you're wrong. I totally agree with you. And I think the problem is in the last 10 years, we're trying to make 50 years worth of nothing happening, and that's going to take a multiple years, multiple phase plan. And I think Palmyra was 5.5 million, something like that.
3.4.
3.5 million. Some of that was, and so each phase is going to be at least that. Obviously, with more time, it's going to be more. But your part of town is a phase. I can't remember if it's phase.
I think they're phased. Were they 3 or 4?
Well, they're gonna be the next phase.
Yeah.
Before, when I became mayor, they had it phased out the other way.
But we reversed it.
They were gonna start at the low end, which would be 6th Street area, 7th Street, where it comes across here in 7th, and then work their way uphill. But because of what we're doing now, your area is the next phase, the way we're able to do it. And, that's because of the other lift station we put in.
Yeah, I know that's not the answer you want to hear, but that is the reality when nobody, there was no capital project fund set aside. There was no money set aside growing in a fund anywhere. There was just nothing. I hate to say that because, I'm not trying to take previous councils or administration down, but there was zero plan. When I came in, I don't know if anybody else councils, if I'm saying anything wrong, but
No.
there was zero. And so now there is a plan. It is in phases. It's multiple, millions-dollar phase. We can only do one phase at a time, but it is a plan, and your part of town is in that plan.
And now, because it's taking so long, there's a part of our community that's paying extra money.
I believe I think the ISO rating affects the entire town, doesn't it?
The entire community is rated as one with the insurance companies. There's an ISO rating.
We dropped from 5 to 6.
We went, it takes a look at the municipal water supply. It takes a look at the fire department's equipment, everything. One of the things that they do when they come to town is they go through and flow test hydrants. And they're not stupid either. They know which ones to pick. That's not hard to figure out. They have records just like we have records. So this last time, they were a little more harsh on the water system than they had been in the past. And the entire community's ISO rating went from a 5, which in the volunteer fire department realm, it's really, really difficult to get lower than a 5. For comparison's sake, the scale is a 1.
The better.
The lower your number, the better. So the city of Sioux Falls, they are extremely proud of the fact that they are a class 1 rated community. They put it on their fire trucks. For a volunteer group, There's a way that we could get down to a 4, but that would be awful tough. But it shouldn't be very tough for us to get back down to a 5. Every classification change represents to you homeowner insurance probably a 15 to 20% difference on your rate. So if we go down a bump, you should see a 15 to 20% savings on your homeowner insurance premium. When we go up a number, your premium should go up by that same 15 to 20%. So almost, in fact, just a little over a year ago, ISO came in and re-rated Crooks, and that's when it changed. Now, I don't know about any special hazard, any right or anything else on your insurance, but I know I live on 8th Street. My insurance went up by about 18% on a year over on my premium. The biggest factor for that is the water tower portion. Getting the amount of water we need, it isn't so much about the pressure, it's flow rating that they're looking for. We can't do it with what we have. There is only a small portion of this whole community. The way they look at it, you need 1,000 gallons a minute at your hydrant. Currently, out of our 53 hydrants I think we have in town, there's only about 10 of them that meet that standard. Nothing in the industrial park on the north end of the town meets that standard. I'm not sure how those businesses got insurance. That seems like a really big red flag to me. They don't have, for a commercial fire, they don't have the rating up there. I'll put a feather in my cap for just a minute. I've been talking about this for the last 20 years as the fire chief, and Jen is 100% right. Previous council we haven't done anything because it's extremely expensive. You don't just go replace water pipes. When you do water, you do sewer, you do roads, you do it all. And the reason you do that is because that's the only way you get funding to help do it. This town could not afford to keep doing $3.5 million infrastructure projects every 2 years without the grant funding and the low interest loan funding that we can get. So it's not going to fix it today, Brian. As someone that lived in that neighborhood for 8 years myself, I know exactly what you mean. With like on First Avenue where I live, my house is 2.5 feet lower than what street level was. I mean, we constantly had a damp basement because you just can't get rid of it. Nothing's going to fix that until we put storm sewer in. Well, again, with that phase that's coming next. So when this water tower project is done, the next round is that center section of town. I've been hammering on that for years because there's a 4-block wide area all the way east to west that I know as the fire chief, if we have a house fire there, I'm not even going to bother hooking on to a fire hydrant because I can get more bringing tankers in the town with their own water than I can out of that hydrant system. So again, none of the people sitting up here have been around that long, but just there is a plan in place. We will get there. It's just, again, as Jana said, so many years of neglect. There's a lot of work to do. And that part of town is not being forgotten by any means. That part is critical because, again, anytime that ISO comes in, that's the part of town they're going to look at. They're not dumb. They don't want to give us any higher rating than they have to because then they got the insurance companies barking at them. So there is a plan in place. Again, our engineers are doing a great job helping us through how to get there. Because, basically Main Street to 4th is really the next phase. And then that 4th to 7th is the final part of it. And, it's just one of those things. There wasn't a great vision when it was built, so we're paying the consequences now. So, like I said, be assured there is a plan in place. We will get there. And when we get there, go look at what Palmyra is now. Take a look at, the storms that we had 2 weeks ago. If that isn't the best case study for engineering at its finest, that worked exactly how it's supposed to work. The storm sewer, everything, all the water mitigation that's been done up there, everything worked exactly how it's supposed to. And, you know, if we would have had a storm like that before that change was made up there, I mean, I don't know how many people would have flooded out their basements.
I remember when it used to.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think the point is, like, we don't just, I mean, I don't disagree with anything you're saying, and unfortunately, and it's tough for us too, because nothing was done for, there just was no planning. You know, nobody came to council was saying, well, here's the long-term plan, here's this pot of funds that have been put aside for interest. I mean, there was just nothing.
People in my neighborhood, or in that 4 block area that you're talking, I mean, a lot of them were like, why did the new part of town, or a newer part of town, get aid before an older part of town? It even had a worse situation. As far as the flooding in Palmyra, I mean, that doesn't take a rocket science. Built into a pasture that used to have a stock dam in the bottom of it. I mean, come on. I mean,
Yeah, and I guess I can't.
Genius to figure out why that flooded. You know, it needed stuff. But a lot of the people that have been here for years, live in the older part of town, are like, why'd that get fixed before us? We've had bigger needs. Why do we have to call just to get a light changed on a corner block and then get told, oh, that's not our light? I mean, stuff like that.
So that, I guess.
It is not our light.
Yeah, that's the
unfortunate
first I
reality.
heard, like you know,
The parts
water
with
and
the
everything,
lights.
but what's the lighting situation? Like, I didn't hear,
If you ever come walk around Old Town at night, you can't see from one block to the other.
because there's
We
lights
have
that aren't
one
on?
light per city block on the corner. That's it. Otherwise, it's just dark as hell.
So is that,
I think that's all we got in my part of town.
That's all we got in Long.
I guess I'm not gonna comment on that because I feel like the new part of town doesn't have enough lights either. I feel like lighting is spaced out too far, and I don't know if it's the spacing or if it's just the brightness of the,
In the midst of it all, we're trying to be helpful, but.
Yeah.
I go around town. I mean, there's some that have one on the corner, half a block one, you know,
Yeah.
not all of it, not all done the same, obviously, but I mean,
Yeah.
you know, but I can't say that we probably got the bigger majority of the elderly in that part of the neighborhood, but I know that all my neighbors have been there for years and years and years and years, for the most part. And that's one of their number one things that they talk to me about
lighting.
is lighting. The other part is, I'm throwing you under the bus, the alleyway that used to be behind Mr. White's house there, all it does, all that water just flows back there and stops because it's like a freaking earth dam there. And then you have a lake back there because nobody's ever channeled it so that it makes it all the way down to the culvert anymore after they redid all that in there. It doesn't make it. It doesn't make it so it goes under the big main street and go out to the field like it's supposed to. It just floods everybody.
Yeah, well, over the years, people have done stuff in their alleyway because they figured it was vacant or whatever. There's a house or a shed that's actually in the alleyway, but if you go,
And my understanding of that alleyway is it's been abandoned by the city anyway, correct?
yeah,
That one has.
we did that through P and Z, but there's been people over the years, dirt or whatever has been in there, and it has blocked waterway, and we found that out when we did the drainage problem in front of your house, 2 years ago. Yeah, it's in desperate need. There's a lot of trees that have been taken out.
Most of the culverts that go into the streets, you can't even find them because they're crushed on the ends, they're covered with crap, and, you know, they're in desperate need of replacement. Of course, that'll come with curb and gutter and redoing drainage, and I get all that, but a lot of my neighbors wanted me to come up here tonight, because I listen to a lot of them, and I understand their concerns, because I live there. You know, and I've lived there forever, whether it was my mom and dad's house or in my house, it didn't matter. We still got water shooting up through the floor at my mom's house, so. Granted, with 14.5 inches of rain in for 4 days, who's ready for that? I get that point, but it just need to come up. There's a lot of concerns there. A lot of people don't understand why they're paying extra. I know that what you said, that it was put out, I didn't see it, I'm sorry. If you put it out in a letter, I didn't see it.
Yeah, we had 4 meetings last year on the water and the water tower because I wanted to make sure everybody knew. So I said, let's have one every quarter. We're all required to have one. And we did that. And I think 3 people the whole time showed up. We sent out letters.
Well, we need to have a hearing.
Well,
then you had
one
town
was a
halls.
hearing, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Anyway, and now you're here and that's good. I mean, there's some people come every month and some don't, but, now you know.
But I'm actually supposed to be on another call right now, but I felt this was more important,
Yeah,
so.
well, now you know and you'd be able to tell your neighbors, but that, yeah, if we could've, the plan was if we have enough money left over, you know, let's go to, Main Street to 4th Street. And, we've got enough money left over to put some new pipes in, but that's mainly between water towers. Because if you got 3 or 4 inch pipes feeding 8 inch pipes, it doesn't no good. And then some of them pipes are so old, they're probably built up,
Yeah, we've had
inside.
quite a few water line breakages in the last.
which could be also somebody's service line from their curb into their house, but it could be a combination of everything. But for sure, I think from what we've all listened to from our, engineer and the plans we've seen, that's gonna be the next phase, Main Street to 4th Street. Like Mike said, everything,
We figured starting on that project probably within a couple of years.
I would say it's probably 2 years out. We,
Yeah.
you know, we
Yeah,
try
depending
to
on
catch
how-
up here and stuff, but just like Palmyra, the bill's gonna be split amongst the whole town,
Sure.
you know, and at one time they talked Palmyra should, you know, they should just pay for that. Well, I think it's fair that the whole town pays for the upgrades as we go.
Well, and the hope is that the water tower, which is a go and it's happening, that the hope is that that alone would maybe get our ISO rating back down to 5, which should reduce the new homeowner insurance. Because like I said, that homeowner's insurance rating, or that ISO rating affects the entire town. It doesn't matter if you have the best pressure and water flow in front of your house. If the town is rated as a town, the whole town insurance is based on that rating, regardless of where you live in town. So that's why that water tower became such a, you know, I think we knew it was an issue. I don't think we knew how much it was an issue until we did the official water study. So hopefully that takes care of that problem too, which would help with our homeowners insurance.
Thank you. Appreciate you coming.
My turn.
3 minutes.
Good evening, council. My name is Ryan Solberg, and I'm an economic development manager with the Sioux Metro Growth Alliance. Part of our president and CEO's initiatives in this first year on the job has been to try to do more outreach to all of our member communities. Just kind of pop in and tell you a little bit about what we've been working on for our members' communities. So just kind of a few brief highlights I'll hit here. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer. So for events, that's kind of a main thing that we focus on with Sioux Metro Growth Alliance is some of our events, particularly our bus tours, which gets folks from municipalities, the county, and then also the private sector out into our rural communities to see the developments going on. So we had our Minnehaha County bus tour. I believe that was last month. Included some tours of the public safety facility in Sioux Falls, Corey up in Bell Rapids, and then as well as the mayor got to speak about some of what's going on here in Crooks at lunch as well. We had our annual Gold Shovel Golf Classic Golf Tournament there about 2 or 3 weeks ago. And then upcoming next month, we'll be having our South Sioux Metro tour. So we'll be covering Lincoln as well as Turner counties on that bus tour. So we welcome anyone who's interested to come along with us. It's always a really good time. Always have a lot of fascinating content for folks. We'll have the next edition of our magazine, Growing Places, which will be out this month. That's a quarterly publication. Then some updates that Tyler, our president and CEO, wanted to share. First, I believe, Mayor, you and Tyler went out and did business retention and expansion visits here in Crooks about a week ago, visiting local businesses to see what issues they might be facing or where they could use some assistance. We put a lot of emphasis on those at SMGA. About 80% of your new business investments is probably going to come from the businesses that you already have here in town, so it's good to make sure that they're happy and taken care of. Regional wastewater, I know, is probably a topic that the council discusses quite a bit. I know the last meeting was about like 2 or 3 weeks ago. Not quite sure, Mayor.
4 or 5 weeks ago.
I think we discussed kind of setting up a governing structure for the system itself. So there's still a ways to go, still some questions to be answered about how the congressionally directed spending, how that's going to be funneled through, what entity is going to end up getting the funding, administering the long-term infrastructure of that project. And then I think Tyler mentioned that they'll be providing some assistance with some upcoming events here in town. Mayor mentioned that there might be some ribbon cuttings and some other things that they might be willing to help spread the word on. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer. Otherwise, you can reach out to any member of our staff at any time, and we're happy to answer any questions about your membership or what we've been working on.
Thanks, Ryan. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else in open comment? Okay,
I'll
we'll
bring it up
move
later.
right along then. Is there a motion to reconvene as city? First, do we have to have a motion on the regular city council meeting or not?
But you're doing that, you're just doing a motion
All the
to,
same?
yep, all the same, like Teresa and then.
So is there a motion to enter, for the board, for the council to sit as a board of adjustment?
So move.
Second.
All those, is that a roll call?
Oh, you can if you want to.
All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carried. Okay, public hearing. We're gonna open the public hearing as a board of adjustments, and the first one is Hague Companies LLC conditional use application for twin homes at 216 Ivy Lane.
Can we do these all together, or do we do? Get through each
Separate.
separately?
Do them all separately, that we have.
Each lot separately.
Yep.
Okay. Is there anybody here or for, anybody have anything to say on this open hearing?
Wade B with Head Construction and Head Modular, and I guess I'm just here to answer any questions that may come up for the conditional use application. It is, this one's simply for twin homes to be built over on Ivy Lane, and you know, I don't think it's a secret, we do plan to build them modularly. We're hoping to get clarity on next steps, to see if that's allowed and how it's allowed and so on and so forth. So in the meantime, I'll answer questions. I gotta vote on them separately, but you can answer the questions all in bulk if you want.
So, the public hearing is just on, to allow for the, conditional use to allow for twin home. Any,
That part, yeah.
Yeah.
anybody else have anything to say?
Anybody for it or against it? No. P&Z is good.
Yeah, I guess we've been talking about this since the inception, since we got the concept plan, knowing that we would zone the whole thing, single family residential, and then just piecemeal any multifamily via conditional use permit. So this, just to clarify, this only allows for twin homes, but this does not address any, what Peg was
The
talking
conditional
about,
use
with
does not.
the structures on it, so that's a whole.
That's a different
separate
subject.
conversation, so, yeah, I recommend approval.
Are these similar to the ones like they build in Madison and stuff? Yeah, but.
Right there.
Yeah,
Right there, Alan.
Oh, okay.
So anybody up here at the table have anything to say pro or against? I would just say, when Van Busker started, we did a tip for, workforce housing. And this is what we're trying to get done. Hague and Van Busker, that doesn't mean, tonight, I'm gonna say it's a done deal. They still have to go through the hoops on the style of the building and where and how it's built and so on. Mike?
It's multifamily housing's been the plan along Ivy Lane since day one, so there's no reason to not approve it.
When Heritage Pond was set up, those back lots against the railroad tracks were what was on the plan, was workforce housing for down there. So anybody else have anything to say? This is just for lot, 216 Ivy Lane. Is there a motion?
Gotta close the hearing.
Hearing closed.
Can we go through all of these?
No, we have to
No.
open and close each one.
Okay.
Move to approve the conditional use for 216.
Second.
Roll call or not?
You can if you want to do a roll call.
All those in
You don't have
favor,
to.
aye?
Aye.
Post same sign, 216 Ivy Lane. Okay, the next one is 220 Ivy Lane. Same thing as anybody, I don't know if you all got, this is just a random picture, but again, we're not voting on the building or how it's built, so. Okay, is there a motion for 220 Ivy Lane?
Move to approve.
Second.
All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Both same sign, motion carried. And now, anybody got anything to say on 300 Ivy Lane? Is there a motion?
Move.
Second.
All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carried. So that's to allow for twin homes, and we'll stop right there. And, I think it would be P and Z that would take it over from there. Okay, a motion to reconvene as city council and entertain a motion from the Board of Adjustment to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carried. So we're back in the regular session. There's no other public hearings. And, reports, city engineer, and, you can maybe just add a sentence or two in there for Brian, because he's our engineer, and he's the one that, he's probably worked on what we're talking about for at least 5 years, as long as I've been married.
I don't have much else to add, other than what Shannon might say. I mean, they hit the nail on the head, but, unfortunately, they can't solve all the problems at once, and, capital improvement planning and all that, that's taken place, and everything's gonna come together over the course of, time, and, but yeah, you put those capital improvement plans together, and, a lot of times we're looking 20, 30 years out before you get to the end of that CIP, and by the time you get there, then other stuff comes up, and so, I mean, it's a never-ending cycle, but, I would commend the council and city for the action they've taken over the last 5+ years to, get some good momentum there. Pretty easy agenda items tonight, just a couple on the docket there. The first being the water storage improvements pay app number 1. This is for the construction that's taking place thus far on the water tower. The work to date has all been underground, foundation work, ramp anchor piers, things of that nature that hit the good base. They'll have the foundation work poured probably by the end of the month, and then they'll likely disappear out of there for the end of the year until the spring when they come back to correct the actual tower. This is for work through the end of June, so we would recommend payment.
So do we need to stop right there and have a motion?
Yeah.
Yep. Motion to approve the pay application.
I'll make motion to approve pay app 1.
Second.
All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carried.
Second item there is a agreement to enter into with Dakota Playscapes for the furnishing and installation of the playground equipment at Heritage Pond Park. We had previously awarded the project to Dakota Playscapes. They have since provided some contract documents, so this would just be a motion to enter into the formal agreement. They are working, I believe they may have already ordered the equipment. For all intents, that'll be installed here in the next few months, certainly this fall prior to winter.
next few months, is there any chance of, mid-August?
Their lead time is 6 to 8 weeks, so I would imagine you're looking at probably at the end of August before the equipment would be delivered to the site, which would suggest, Labor Day completion at the earliest. They have until, I believe, middle of October contractually to get the work done.
Okay, is there a motion, to pay?
I'll make a motion to enter into the agreement with Dakota Waste Tapes.
Second.
All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
That's the only agenda items I had, just a couple of quick notes. Obviously, the trail work is ongoing out there. They've been working at a decent pace, hopefully with some dry weather in the forecast. We'll be able to get that a little quicker to get it wrapped up here in short order. And then the 30 seal project, previously scheduled for a week from today, July 15th. A new schedule as of today suggests they'll be here July 24th. There again, you can't apply that much rain, so they lost some days there, but they're going to see some more, but for all intents, should be another month.
What would be your guesstimate when the path would be done?
Oh, I'd like to think 3 weeks from now, all the concrete would be done, and then they'll do the restoration work and walkways will be done before we can get it seeded. So, end of August, September, before it would be seeded, but for all intents, it should be usable here.
So it should be open by the time school
Yes,
starts.
that still remains the goal there. Thank you.
Okay, Tobias, do you know of, anything on utilities?
It's phone night. Yeah, so we're lining up services right now. One project that kind of got a little bit on the back burner was the mapping of valves. So I talked to Jason today, and originally you guys had given the go-ahead, I believe, a year and a half ago. And rural water, what we haven't started it is, essentially we will end up doing all the locating and they'll just do the GIS data for us. So we're looking for a more efficient solution that we could do potentially in-house where we just do it, because it would be only the mapping of the main valves. But we would the preference would be to have all the valves and the curb stops and everything. So right now, it's just not that we don't want to go ahead because it's exciting, but if we essentially end up doing the labor, the majority of it, we may as well see if we can find another way. So we've looked into some tools, diamond mapping, and see how accurate it gets. The one issue or the snag we've run into is that we can't just use our phones for the mapping. It will not be, I guess, exact enough. Gas services obviously being lined up as always. We have hopefully the way like some development in Renner. Crooks, of course, is adding. The big news is we have the AMI live, so that means we're getting hourly data. So that will ease with the meter reading and also supply us with more accuracy in the long term. Otherwise, the utility personnel is studying for exams, is working on, OQ'd and just paperwork. There's some more sharing going on, so we have the redundancy. So that's really where we're at with the utilities. Utility report.
Okay, anything under economic development?
Not really. Kind of stole my thunder back there.
Sorry about that.
I'll let it slide. It's fine. We're probably due for a wastewater meeting here shortly. Something interesting that's cropped up at the county level, it doesn't really fall under economic development, but in a way it does, with the potential for a conveyance line running, through the middle of some rural area. There are already people that have seen the map of that and are starting to petition county planning and zoning about being able to put up rural housing developments because they won't have to have septic. So that's a unintended consequence of the possibility of this project getting going. So interesting, but that's about all I got.
Okay. Eric, you got anything? Slurry seal is coming up. I think it's set for, looks like, the communication today was, not next week, but the week after. Does that sound right, Jake?
July 24th, right?
Okay. And, so that slurry seal, it'll all be done in a day. And, we take bids through the city of Sioux Falls, and so does Hartford, Garrettson, Brookings, Parker. Everybody gets bids, the same day and use the same company, so we get hopefully the better end of the stick. And, this year, the company that got it was the one that did our slurry seal 3 years ago. And they did a really nice job, so, we're glad to see them back. Planning and zoning.
All right, we moved our regular scheduled meeting to the holiday to June 5th at 6 o'clock. We met, and the only agenda item that we had was reviewing and approving the new subdivision ordinance, which was unanimously passed, and thank you to CCOG and Tobias for massaging that and moving it forward, so thank you for that. Our next regularly scheduled meeting will be July 29th, and Butch, if you want to come and have a conversation about development out by the interstates, or talking out there, we'll start doing some of that planning, they can certainly put you on the agenda, so let's just loosely plan for that. And then offline, we've been signing some new plats and working commission use permits and accessory buildings around.
Allen Government Building.
We got 3 quotes from our, IT service. We need to upgrade our current server, which is holding all our city information. We need, firewall updates. And then we added in the IT infrastructure for the new shop. So I'm not sure if that was in this year's budget, but I think they said we could get it in for next year.
Well, their thought was to budget it for next year. Now, the server, all of this, they can only guarantee the quote for 60 days. So these are all necessity items. The firewall is expiring and the office needs to be renewed. The server is a Blade server. It's junk. It's old. We will use it actually as redundancy for the other shop, but if that goes belly up, then we might be not in business for a couple of days.
We don't want it to be down.
And then the new shop obviously necessitates new infrastructure up there, so it's, I mean, you're looking at roughly, $13,000-14,000. I would spread it out over the funds, so it'll be manageable amount. Not saying it's not ideal, but it is what it is. These items have been on the to-do list besides the server, besides the new infrastructure to shop for years. The server was the first priority they identified when we switched in 2022. They've said, you're kind of, I'll say, chancing it, but that's pretty much the gist. The firewall is only good for 3 years, so it's, yeah.
I mean, we keep regular backups, so, I mean, if it did go down, it'd just be a matter of installing it in our infrastructure and putting it back up, but with moving that one over as a backup, then we wouldn't be down if we get a new one in here. So I would recommend that we do it right away, if that's feasible.
So do we need the motion?
I'll do a motion so we can execute the quotes and then they can get that stuff ordered.
For all 3? Or 3 separate?
I'll do 3 separate ones, but that's just me being.
Is there a motion on a new server?
So moved.
All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Is there a motion for a new firewall for the office computer system?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. And a motion for IT infrastructure at new shop.
So moved.
All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carried.
Can I add one more?
Yeah.
Actually, two items. We've been looking at electronic timekeeping software, just, making that switch, because right now we're on Excel spreadsheets, and we got a quote, and we're trying to, haggle and get a discount, like we always do. And then we are doing a revamping of the website, so we have a quote for about, $3,400, includes annual maintenance, but the big addition is, remember, 4 years ago when we switched to Revise, they're gonna redo the whole website. And they also have a smart form feature. So if you've been on our website, we try to do everything electronically and as much as we can. The smart form feature is gonna cost $2,000 to set up, but it's there indefinitely. So the thing is, we kind of need to let them know how to get that quote, how we want that quote prepared. And then I'd like to present it at another meeting.
This is a one-time.
It's a one-time $19.75, and then there's an annual fee because it does process it all and sends it to us. But just want to provide a heads up on that, because that will take, I'd say, 3 to 4 months, the whole revamp. It's just, before signing anything, if there's like some guidance, some input you guys have, just let me know.
So you want to get us some more pertinent information than next month?
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, just let me know.
Okay.
Well, back to Parks and Mike.
Is anybody here for baseball? No? I guess the only thing I'd talk about under parks, we got more complaints about fireworks this year than we have in the last couple years. It was a pretty calm night, so a lot of the stuff, the remnants of fireworks, ended up in the west end of the park and also in the residential area at the end of Winterberry Circle and that area back there. Just to make it clear so everybody understands, the city pays the bill for the fireworks. So the city is sponsoring the fireworks. It has to go through the fire department because the fire department is the only one authorized to purchase fireworks. And we pay an extra fee on that yearly contract so that Premier Pyrotechnics is the one that's actually shooting them. So at the end of the day, they're the ones responsible for the show, okay? What we shoot or what is shot in the park over there, by standards, Eric can attest to this, it's pretty small stuff. Because it doesn't have to go very far. The vast majority of the people come down into the park or the neighborhoods surrounding the park. We have choices. We can move to a different location. The further away from the people you go, the more money you have to spend to get stuff that goes higher so people can still see it. So I don't have a solution for it today, but between Premier and the fire department, we'll figure it out. We had some upset people with pet problems and garbage problems and rain gutter problems, and I get it. It's part of, if we want to have a community fireworks display, that stuff blows up and it goes somewhere. Do we have the staffing necessary to go around and pick up all that stuff? We don't. So if it's something that we want to continue for our community, there's a certain amount of work that goes with it by the people that are around it. So I certainly sympathize with those folks, especially ones that I'm one of them, have to strangle your dog to get him to quiet down. He gets freaked out by fireworks. I get it. It's certainly not our intent. It's meant to be a really great thing for the community. So we will look at possibly relocating it, maybe changing it up. We've talked about maybe doing it on Sunday night, kind of at the very end of community days, so it isn't so specific to Sunset Park. We could go back to New Hope Park. There's some other locations close to the edge of town or something that we could also look at lighting them from too. That might mitigate some of the garbage problems. So we're looking at it. We'll have something more to talk about later in the year.
So, does CFFL do fireworks?
Well, yes, the city pays for those too. So it's the exact same agreement. We have one agreement with Premier Pyrotechnics. They handle the whole
That's
thing.
gonna be your sooner issue, because that's September.
So can we get just ask for volunteers to go around the next day or something like that?
There's a lot of things we can do.
Older stuff,
Yeah.
you get you to hire stuff, and say, over in this one, maybe we should be over here at the pond. That would give you bigger distance. You know, I guess there's less housing there yet. You know? I mean, Premier is at least insured. The
Right.
football teams that are bringing fireworks and shooting, that's a gray area that probably shouldn't be happening, but we allow it. I hate to tell you, no, we're little kids. But yeah, we're trying to make everyone happy. You can't do it all.
Yeah.
Well, I think we probably need to make CFFL, maybe give them an opportunity to come up with some other suggestions too. If, you know, just let them be aware that this is an issue that's come ahead, and since they would be the next, I mean, sooner than later, you know, maybe they have some.
Well, and I mean, truly, they have nothing to do with it. It's their event, but it's contracted with the fire department and Premier Pyrotechnics and paid for by the city. The flag football has
Yeah.
really nothing to do with it, other than they're having their big event. So.
Well, I don't know what the answer is. I think for future, I don't know about flag football this year, because they're all right there at the final, games. But, at least for the city, community needs, I think we got some pretty good areas, whether it's New Hope or Heritage Pond. So, take a look at it, see what we can do for that. I guess, I don't know how we should handle CFFL, let them know, or just let it go and go tell the neighbors it's gonna happen. Anybody got any ideas?
Well, we just need to, if they're gonna do that, they just need to make sure they stick to their timing of when they're gonna do it, because the one complaint we got, we had a plan in place, but since they went early, we weren't able to execute it as far as it's going.
I think, that's probably a better group as far as getting some volunteers on the
Yeah.
cleanup side of it, I think we could ask them, they volunteer.
Same size show, or is that one's smaller?
Half.
Half?
Plus, absolutely. I think it's like 2/3 for Crooks days and 1/3 for flag football.
Okay. Finance report.
I thought we want to talk about the big park news, Heritage.
Oh, the big, yeah, the fun
Oh.
stuff.
Yeah, boy. If you haven't, on your way out tonight, please make a hot lap down past the pond. Game Fish and Parks was here today and installed the fishing pier. So the walkway is all in. We've got some street paving to get done to get down there yet, but it is gravel to get there. But the fishing pier is in. Looks pretty great. So there's a picture of it. That was a complete 100% donation by Game Fish and Parks. They provided it, they installed it, and as soon as they were done today, it became ours. So it stays in year round. Their best guess was about every 5 years it needs a paint job. That's about it. It's got, what's that? Right now. It's open.
I bought a fishing rod.
But do you have a license?
The Game Fish and Parks has been in there twice already to stock fish. So there's crappies and bluegills and perch and white bass, I think, or something, but yeah, they've put some, and everything they've put into this point is adult fish. They will be back I believe it's twice a year over the next 2 years. So they come a total of 6 times. And next spring, they'll bring in hatchlings and turn it into a fishery. So I will, just so you guys hear it too, we're going to get some signs up down there. There are parts of that pond that are 18 feet deep. So there will be no swimming signs up all over the place. It will take some time to make all the improvements around there. We're just not gonna do a $100,000 project right now. So as time progresses, we'll be doing more riprap around the edges and some other things, but there's a lot of parks in this town that need work in them, and that's one of them. So it's down there. It's usable now. It's pretty great. There's there's sidewalk to get down to the fishing pier. There's sidewalk and blacktop all the way around the west side, or the east side of the waterway. So check it out.
And that blacktop is part of our new pathway in the future. It also gives us a way to get down to our new sewer lift station down there. But we don't want vehicles driving on the pathway. If you drive down there, you're gonna have a couple blocks or a block and a half of gravel, but you'll see once you get down to the end where it widens out on both sides, and that will be parking. Once it's blacktop, even if they get in there and do some leveling out of gravel now, would be a big help. And then you'll also see the cement area with the red rock in it, where the new playground will go. So if you go there fishing, please park on the gravel somewhere and walk there unless you got a scooter like Danny's got there. Okay, now finance.
I have nothing to report. Nothing.
Okay. Other business,
Code enforcement.
pardon,
Code enforcement.
code enforcement, yeah, like,
We're following up on the items with the shed, so Ginny is reaching out to the folks who own that. She sent some letters for, I believe, trees and high grass. Otherwise, uneventful for animal control. We're trying to capture a cat that's under the shed out there, so you can see the trap after the meeting.
Tell them how
Good.
the cat got there.
Cat came with Sarah
In the car.
in the engine compartment from
Oh, Lord.
Montrose to here, so, yeah. If you guys have an idea how to get it out from under the shed, we will.
I'll get hungry eventually.
Yeah, it lives.
Just one thing to throw on top of that I know, I hope everybody saw the notice that they're out spraying mosquitoes again tonight. I've had some complaints in the last couple of weeks, especially this part of town, about how bad the mosquitoes are. Please remember, the spraying that they're doing is not to get rid of all of our mosquitoes. It's to control the spread of West Nile, okay? So it's not to eliminate bugs. It's to control the West Nile population of mosquitoes. There's a really, really big difference between those two things.
Yeah.
With all of the rain and everything else that we've had, I can't believe that some of these sheds aren't getting carried away by the mosquitoes. But it's just one of those deals. We get some hot, dry weather here in the next week. Will help that significantly. But boy, I tell you what, I made a hot lap around town at dusk last night. And I mean, there's parts of town where you can just see the cloud of gnats and mosquitoes. It's crazy. And like I said, those guys are out a couple of times a week, sometimes running the fogger around. And again, it's not to eliminate mosquitoes. It's to control the West Nile population. So
we do get a grant for West Nile, and that fogger, I got chewed out one year. Oh, they didn't spray my hedges and all that along the street. Well, it's not made, that's not the way it works. It's made to spray in the air, go down the middle of the street, and it attracts mosquitoes, especially the West Nile virus ones. And we do have mosquito trap in town that they check at least once a week, if not more often. That's all part of this grant. And so then we get a count on the West Nile. And, we keep it down pretty good in Crooks. We keep it pretty low. There's some towns, that got an alarming, rate of West Nile in their traps. But, yeah, he will be out tonight. Other business, I don't have any, volunteer acknowledgement. But Tobias and I talked, I don't know if he's talked to anybody else about meeting schedules. And one thing we talked about a little bit over the last year was, always seems like we gotta call a second meeting in the month, just to pay some bills, or really not a lot of business stuff. There's getting to be a little more. So the suggestion is out there, that maybe we should look at the first and third Monday, and P and Z looks at the second Monday. That way, if there was anything, we could follow up. That's just a suggestion. And, so we don't have to work it out tonight, but I think we need to, take I hate having what they call special meetings. I'd rather just have something set up and, go with it. But a lot of the bills anymore, if you don't get them paid in 15 days, you get surcharge. They used to just wait till we met, and that doesn't happen anymore with vendors. I don't know if you have anything you want to say.
Well, yeah, so as you guys know, we really do, I mean, for all intents, we do 2 meetings a month. What the second meeting would do is just provide a more consistent schedule, but also provide a consistent schedule for other items that need to get in. For example, hearings and so forth. You could develop a whole schedule, have to have your, for example, conditional use, you have to have it in just the cutoff date to be considered. Like Mayor Osby said, it's something to think about. A lot of smaller towns and towns prioritize have added a second meeting in the month. Others have refused to do so. It's just, I think the special meetings at times might not be, the most conducive vehicle to do the stuff, but it's really your guys' decision how you want to do it.
Anybody have any input tonight on it?
Makes a lot of sense to me. I love as many meetings as I can get, so.
Awesome.
I think honestly, I think it probably better serves our community in the long run. Not having to wait for things or call special meetings and make sure people are there.
Well, I'd like to put it on the agenda for next month and
Can we start those right after my term expires?
I will say this, just to comment on planning and zoning, that a lot of the special meetings, especially one that we are called to, is due to somebody else's poor planning.
Oh, yeah.
Turns into an emergency. I mean, we talk about that all the time, and, a lot of times we get put in situations where we literally, by our bylaws and by our ordinance, we're supposed to have 10-day review periods, and we rarely hold anybody to that. So I know we've had that conversation before. I know I brought timelines for hearings and the rest of the stuff. A lot of the meetings changes are derivative of somebody else's poor planning too, so it's something to consider.
Very true.
yeah.
But to me, it doesn't matter when I have my meetings, but there'll always be the scramble in between somebody who works last minute to do something, so. What do you think?
You don't care.
That work for you, well?
Yeah. You know.
Anybody up here have any input? Okay, we'll go on to ordinances, resolutions. And this is the first reading of ordinance 348. Ordinance 348, an ordinance amending ordinance 337, section 1, whereas the city of Crooks has duly adopted ordinance 337 on March 11th, 24, with effective date of April 4th, 24. As much as I need to read.
Yeah, you actually did more than you had to. Beyond the title,
Can I ask a silly question?
yeah.
After having gone through multiple municipalities' websites looking for ordinances on park rules and stuff, instead of an ordinance to fix an ordinance,
Yeah.
is it, should we not repeal the old one, kill it, and fix it?
Yeah, so this one is just reclassifying, that's why we're amending it.
Okay.
Yeah, but if I may go off subject, we are working on a code book, so we finally have it in the works. So there's one book that you can just click through and it will have everything in it. So that is right now being reviewed, first draft, went out to the attorney, Seacock's working on it, so, we'll put it on the website and I'll forward it to all of you guys. But that is, finally is getting done, because that has been on the to-do list, I want to say 5 years, half a decade plus, and we've never gotten around to it, and we finally gotten to it. So hopefully this gets done by the end of the year, because that will be a major change.
Well, I'm a rule follower, and, I'm all about making sure our rules are not dumb. And when you have to go through 7 different ordinances to find all the rules for a specific topic, instead of, why don't we have one document for that topic? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This isn't a city of Crooks thing, this is municipal government. Like I said, everybody's website looks like that. It's maddening to try and find answers to some of these things.
Yeah, and that's why usually, as you say, we repeal the entire ordinance and we repass it, just because it makes it cleaner. If you look at our water and sewer rates, sometimes we avoid it, because you run the risk that it could be referred. And if you have something in there that would then repeal the whole thing. But both of these are more looking at the municipal accounting manual and just recalibrating, just redoing that. But yeah, we have the whole ordinance book in the works. It is exciting.
So did you say I have to read something over again?
No, you read more.
No, I read more than I need to.
Yep.
Okay, first reading of ordinance 349, an ordinance amending ordinance 341, section 1.
Cool.
Same thing?
Yep. Good stuff.
Okay, resolution 2024-21. And this is a resolution of the City Council of Crooks, South Dakota, excluding real property from the municipal boundaries upon receipt of a petition to exclude property. And this goes back out to the second, first house closest to the interstate on the south side. That would be where Rudy Benson used to live and Andy Mann used to live. They thought they wanted to be in the city and now they don't. So they were gonna pay for the extra cost of having to re-advertise it.
Move to approve.
All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carried. Resolution 2024-22, a resolution of the City Council of Crooks, South Dakota, authorizing the creation of an incidental account for claims requiring immediate payment and establishing an amount thereof. You want to explain that?
So our auditors were angry with us last year. They're like, you don't have an incidental account, which we pointed to our ordinance that the mayor executes the budget, whatever's authorized, we can do. And they're like, no, not good enough. So this is essentially creating an incidental account that says, oh, here's a threshold set for bills, for example, publication, they come due usually before a meeting. It's really smaller amounts. It's not the major ones. If we have huge amounts, usually we call the vendor and say, you have to wait until the next council meeting. We're not going to cut you a check for whatever 6 figures or so, unless they're prior approved with a contract. So this is mainly just establishing this incidental account and getting it going.
What's the spending limit per bill or?
No, a cumulative. I mean, if we never have that high of bills that we need to cut in advance, because a lot of vendors understand, especially the bigger ones, okay, this needs to wait until the next council meeting. This more sort of threshold set, I mean, really, in all honesty, arbitrarily. I looked at other towns, they all have varying amounts. So the way we do it right. Oh, okay.
But you're talking the most loud.
Okay. Okay.
Should be on.
That's good. Okay, essentially, what it does, it creates spending authority that we can run for publication bills that are due. Let's say we had a couple due on the 7th, our meeting's on the 8th. Well, those are the vendors that Butch mentioned. Well, you're gonna pay 1% if you don't pay on time. It's not for the major bills, those big ones, for example, pay applications and so forth. Those will wait until the council meeting, but the smaller ones where we can cut a check or do the ACH, it would be nice to get that in place just to avoid those late fees. I know years ago, there was a motion on the table, 2017, that said, yep, you can cut a check, I think, up to $1,000. You know, and the way we do it right now is no matter the amount, no matter how small, Jana and Butch know about it and get an email. I mean, if that is like 60, 70 bucks, because I'm not a big proponent of this, but this is mainly done for expediency and for doing it in a way that is still efficient and pursuant to SDCL. So yeah, I need to have something on the books, otherwise it's gonna be another verbal comment. Oh, why don't you have an incidental account? Well, because we don't.
So is it a limit per check or?
No, it's a
per
cumulative.
account?
It is up to, I mean, at most, there's gonna be 30,000, and that's very unlikely. I don't think we've ever had that. Like, the only time we disperse larger amounts is pay applications that have been approved at a meeting, and then we wait for the funds to come, and then we cut the check. Well, but we have the approval. This is for where the claim's gonna be presented at the meeting, listed as incidental, and there's that.
Okay,
Yeah, but so the claim's still listed under the claims. The claim's still
Yeah,
there.
it's still gonna go on the claims. It's the disbursement of the funds
comes from.
that happens.
So does this money actually sit in an account? or
No,
is this-
no, it's
okay.
just,
So it comes out of the,
comes out of our
general
regular
ledger
account. It's
basic.
just, yeah, it's just setting the amount and
'cause
creating
I
this.
just don't wanna lose track of that by putting money in some other account.
No, no, no,
where
oh, no,
somebody
no.
can go stick their
No.
paws in.
No, and that's why we try to pay a lot with credit card or on credit terms. It's just there are vendors who are like, no way, you're not gonna pay late. I mean, I was gonna say 90% of vendors are good, but the ones who aren't good, you end up arguing with them on the phone.
Yeah, as
And,
long as the checks and balances are in place, I'm good with it. Motion to approve.
Second.
all those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Same sign, motion carried. Resolution 2024-23, a resolution of the City Council of Crooks, South Dakota, transferring spending authority from the contingency function to meet the obligations of the city for 2024.
Sorry, so what was this for?
we had to abate,
Oh,
so that's $1,000, and then we are paying the lease payment. This seemed to be a easier way to get the spending authority established than do another supplemental appropriations ordinance.
Yep.
So.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carried. Okay, a special event alcoholic beverage licensing policy.
State law changed. Essentially, they made it easier to approve special event licenses, as we call them, for current license holders. However, you have to have something in writing. I talked to Patrick. He said, if you don't have anything in writing, you can't approve special event licenses anymore. So this is really my interim solution. Otherwise, they can't host bars at the community center, for example. I mean, any event really that's organized that requires a special event license. And, that applies for license holders and no license holders. They also require you to stipulate a number. I put 5 in there. We've never had more than 5 per person. I'm working on a more permanent solution with him, like a resolution or so, where we can really outline it, but right now,
So for now, it's just a written.
yep, we have to have something right, and that's why I cited shall establish rules, and otherwise, for example, you couldn't approve that special event liquor license tonight, so.
I'll motion to approve the policy as written.
I'll second it.
All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carried. And now a special event liquor license for the Wooden Nickel. For,
August 17th, a quinceañera at the community center.
Move to approve.
Second.
all those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carried. And now a motion.
Move to adjourn.
No,
Executive
special.
We're getting,
So close.
Well,
we do,
well, but that motion's
We
on
do
the
have
table
to
now.
adjourn.
I'll withdraw it.
Oh, there you go.
a motion to go into executive session.
Yeah.
So move.
Second.
Okay, roll call
Roll
vote. Harsted.
Aye.
Richardson.
Aye.
Byer.
Aye.
Shooty. Okay, we're in executive session. Well, they need to move out of this hall,
Or we can go in the office.
or you can go in the other. All right.
Yeah.
We're not gonna vote on anything, we're just gonna.
Talk.
Okay.
Hey, one quick question. The church. Did you guys- are you guys involved?
Well, no, they're moving. We get them up and like, hey, you got another problem.
Are they moving?
Yep, they are. No, they did. We are staying on there. They actually, they hired a company.
I'll let them know that. And then the other thing, you talk to them about that website, make sure that they can build that. Build that.
They can't build that in
Yeah,
all the.
make sure they can build that in, and then that way you put one thing on the site, and it just pops out.
Yeah, that's what we're trying to do, all Facebook and also YouTube.
They don't do it there.
Well, yeah. But I had told people to come in and do the stuff, they know ours and over. So they check off ours. So it raised it for everybody. Now, supposedly when we put the new water tower in, that's gonna give us more water pressure throughout the town.
There were pipes.
To a certain extent.
this and,
Two for the other.
and two for that area.
It goes by
Goes by
population.
That's where we get half of the residents are in Ward 1, half the residents are in Ward 2. Otherwise, you know, how does it that?
And you guys have
Yeah.
residents in the whole southern part of town, except for this little area right here.
Yeah, it's by people,
Not this little area right here, it's everything on this side of the house.
yeah.
It's one block.
Well, the rest of the town is, what the old town is,
It's spread out, but it's the same amount of people.
and you got two representing,
It's the same. We represent the
It's
exact same
600,
number.
each of us represents almost 600 people.
Yes.
okay. But everything has been done over there, that needs to be done. Nothing, nothing,
Down there for work listening.
nothing has been done over here, and yet.
Oh, it has.
For a year or-
No, when the water tower's coming in, and then we're gonna phase that whole old part of town's gonna be all redone.
I wish I could have been up here earlier.